Now, let's get ready to hear some exciting updates about Central Access from VP of Engineering and Operations Jimmy Gray and VP of Central Access Chris Montgomery. This segment will be moderated by Tiffany Trueblood, Senior Communications Specialist.
I'm Tiffany, and with me is Chris and Jimmy, and we're going to talk about Central Access. We have a lot of questions and information people are ready to get into, so let's just go ahead and start off. So, Chris, when we started with Central Access, where are we? How did this come about?
That's a good question, and we do hear that often. So with Central Access, we realized there was a need early on. So we had 24 substations and 6 offices spread against our territory that did not have adequate service. So not only our power, but our substations again and our offices. So we set out to figure out how to do that. So really it was with our CEO, Tom Stackhouse, and our board having the forethought to look into how can we build this network and what do we need to do. So at that time we set out a plan to build to our substations and offices, and then in doing so we wanted to grab as many of our members as we could, being that we realized they didn't have the needed broadband service as well.
Great. Now that where we are, a lot of people, a lot of members on the service now. And some people who are still thinking about it or excited about it or just want to know, what is the Central Access difference? What makes us so much different than maybe another internet service provider?
Absolutely. So there's many differences. One of which is all of our members and all of our customers are fed with fiber. So we're to actually take fiber to the home. So that's the obvious difference. But from that, you're being served by the customer service reps. The same people that you're used to working with that are local. So you're living and working with people that are in the community. So that's, to me, the biggest difference is you're getting that family connection that you should be used to getting now.
Yeah. People probably see a lot of familiar co-op faces.
Absolutely.
Right? What about, I've heard a lot about when it comes to speed. Everyone knows internet speed is the way to go, right? Yeah. Speed is that, but it's more than just one way of speed, right? Can you explain that?
That's right. So with Central Access, of course, again, fiber fed, our services start for up to 200 megabits up and down, 500 and up to a gig. So we have 3 services that you can get, but with that we have symmetrical service. So our services are 200 megabits down, 200 megabits up. So what does that mean? So as you're working, typically watching TV, you're getting information that's coming to you. So that's the download. But if you're doing homework, sending a file to your boss, that's going to be an upload. So that information travels down as fast as it does up. So that's the benefit, is you're getting true symmetrical service.
So no, that little spinning circle guy that's hanging out.
That is not the plan. We don't want spinning kids.
So up and down does make a huge difference.
Up and down, yes.
Right? And what about people are thinking about with all of that, with the speed and the fiber to the home, do they have to buy any additional equipment? Are there any extra equipment cost, or what's included with their service?
So no, you don't have to. So we do provide everything you need. With that, no contracts, no upfront fees are necessary. So we bring in the equipment necessary to your home to get our fast, reliable broadband service. So with that, you're going to have a professional grade router, which is going to provide your service. Now with that though, there is an option that you can get for $5, our Wi-Fi service. So what makes that difference is that you're getting the Wi-Fi service and that we're able to see your network and to help troubleshoot in the event there's an issue. If you choose not to do that, then you could purchase your own router and set it up and then manage your own home network or your own business network. But that's one of the benefits, and that's one of the things that we do with Central Access.
Great. So we all now know how great it is and the speeds up and down. When we first started, Jimmy, we started this out, we started releasing this out in kind of a phase approach. Tell us about when we started with the core ring. How is that? What's the update on that?
Yeah, the core ring is complete, and that's where we connected all of our substations and our offices with fiber. And along the way, we picked up people around that core ring. It's about 400 miles of fiber with additional another 500 or 600 miles to pick up everybody along that ring. So all of our substations got the equipment in, so power all those internet users in the future. So we passed about 10,000 homes residents and a few businesses. And right now we have around 4,000, a little over 4,000 connections, people taking service and enjoying central access.
So if they fall in the core ring, they can get service now, right?
Yes.
So
that's right.
jump on it, right?
That's right.
Get on
That's
it.
right.
Next would be what we call as grant areas. What are the grant? What is the grant and grant process, and what does that mean? What are these grant areas, and how are we doing on that?
You know, state and federal government realized there was a need for broadband in the rural areas, and the reason it's not there is cost prohibitive. So to help spur that growth on, they produced grants in areas that qualify. And we, before we even started this process, we looked for grants in our area. There were some, and we were awarded some through the state and through the federal government as well.
Okay. And how are we doing on the state grants? What's that? We're working on all those, correct?
Correct. And state grants, there's several areas, and we've been working on them. We plan to have most of those complete by the end of the year. Some of them already complete, installing customers now. One of the larger zones just south of Enterprise area in Clanton has over 500 installs already enjoying the service. So it's moving along pretty well. About 75% complete, and slowly moving through there.
Okay. And what about the other grant? You mentioned federal, sometimes called the USDA grant.
Yes.
What's going on with that process?
The USDA grant we were awarded, those are some of our more rural areas. So we are stepping through the process of those grants to make sure we do what we need to do so we can get those funds when we complete construction and do it the right way. Hopefully start probably toward the end of this year building the fiber and start connecting it and doing installs through first part through the half of next year.
Okay. And the last part, or kind of piece of the puzzle, and it does kind of look like a puzzle on our map, is the activation zones. What are those, the zones that require activation? What's that process, and how are we working through that one now?
Yeah, if you're not in the core project or state grant or USDA grant, the rest of the system we zoned out. So depending on where we had the most demand, that's where we went to first. So we have about 50 zones that have activated. We've got enough people signed up saying they want the service. And we've got 10 or 12 that we already have completed construction, doing installs, hooking up folks every day. So that's going well. So if you're in an area that hasn't activated, get your neighbors, sign up. And those areas, when they activate, we begin the engineering process, then put them in the construction queue.
Okay. And how do they sign up for that?
Centralaccess.com.
Okay. And they put in their address. And
put in your address,
magic.
and it'll show you where you're at. If you're in something that's already activated and ready, you can sign up for service right then.
Great. We have a lot going on. We have core ring, grants, activation zones, but we're not the only one that's doing that. Broadband is a very big thing. It seems like it's on the news everywhere you go. So what all is going in the broadband industry right now? It seems like and especially during the pandemic, everyone's realized we really need this. So how have those things impacted what we've been doing for a couple of years?
Well, you're right. A lot of, especially co-ops, have realized the rural areas don't have broadband, and they have been doing the same thing we've been doing. So you've got a lot of people all of a sudden start to do it, and it has put a strain mainly on materials. That's one of the issues we're having right now, is even though we started 2 years ago projecting what we needed, talked to the manufacturers, had the slots supposed to get so much fiber per month. Well, now that COVID hit and other things, manufacturing's down. One manufacturer said they're down 65%. So
wow.
They're not able to produce the amount of fiber they're planning. So we're not getting as much as we planned. So we're having to scale our construction to make sure we've got the materials, because we can't put it up if we don't have wire. So
popular plus pandemic is
right.
not good, right?
That's right.
Let's see. Chris, how about people? We have over almost 5,000 in-home installations now, correct?
We're almost at 5,000. Actually, we've installed that many, but we're looking at active services. You know, we're excited to say here next week we're going to hit 5,000 active customers. So with that, another thing, you know, we've passed nearly 12,000. Actually, much more than that. So we're excited that we can connect more people. So we're just looking for those opportunities.
Great. One of the opportunities we do get asked about a lot are people who may not be a Central Alabama Electric Co-op member, and they want the service because they've heard about it, or they don't have a lot of options and they want it. How are we working through that right now?
And that's one of those things. It is tough. We realize there's a need, not only for our members but for our neighbors that are close by. So our first goal is to reach our members. Again, they're part of our network. So that's the first goal. But beyond that, what we're looking is that our neighbors that are close, we'll try to grab those as much as possible. But then from there, we do have to look at a similar process as we do now, something like an activation zone. So how far can we reach and who can we get? So we do understand there's a need out there, and we do want to help be part of that, help resolve that problem.
Yeah, and it's a big problem, especially we have a 10-county service area.
Absolutely.
So that's a lot of land.
Absolutely.
A lot of rural land as well. So that's why we're doing it. We do have some questions come in. Are you guys ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. First one, how does this compare to satellite services?
Well, satellite services has been out there for years. It is dependent on weather sometimes. They do have bandwidth constrictions and such. With our service, like Chris said, 200, there's no data caps. Anything like that is not affected by a storm coming through, weather like that, like a satellite is. So it is typically cheaper, much cheaper. So, satellite, it has its limitations. That's just when you're beaming from the earth up and back down, it takes time. Ours, what they call latency, there's almost none with fiber. When you hit the button, it goes out there and comes back at the speed of light. So very fast, very quick, much improvement over satellite.
Great. Let's see. How about this one? You guys have been working in my area, and I can't wait. But now I'm seeing all these little trucks and trailers parked. What are they doing?
Sure, that's a question you want to ask?
Yeah.
No, those are typically our splicers. So what they're doing is they're splicing the mainline fiber. They're potentially doing the distribution fiber, or they may be splicing the fiber up to your home. So we do look at this in a process. So as we build the network, we have to splice it out to the end of the line. So that's what they're doing. Is it's one step closer getting that fiber connection to your home.
Okay. And your question, when you talk about splicing, that's actually like joining all those little, how many fibers are in there?
Absolutely.
What are they doing?
Well, it depends on which potential fiber they're in. So our largest one is a 144 strand fiber. So what that means is there's actually 144 fibers about the size of your hair that's in a small tube that they have to actually remove the outside of the sheath, and then actually make a splice. So it's a delicate process.
That sounds like a lot of work.
It is. It's a tremendous amount of work.
Let's see. I love the service, but my kid is an avid gamer. I think I want to try the 1 gig. Can I change that? Am I locked in?
So so that's one thing you get. You do have freedom with central access. So that's a lot of times a question that's asked, what service works for me and what speed do I need? So if you are a gamer, I'd certainly recommend the 1 gig. But if you're just a single person, perhaps the 200 megabit. But what's good is you can choose to go up or go down. Now, one thing to remember, depending on how many televisions are in your home, each smart TV may take about 25 megabits. So smart televisions, washers, dryers, dishwashers, they're all Wi-Fi accessible nowadays. So it really depends on what's in your home, how many people in your house, and what you're doing with your network.
Okay. That actually kind of goes into the other one. I had something on here. Are y'all offering TV services?
TV service. Not the conventional way. So television service is called over-the-top service. So there's I'm sure you've heard of Hulu, YouTube TV, Netflix, Apple TV. All those are a way to watch television over the internet. So it's a very easy process. Maybe you have to get used to it. It may be a change compared to a satellite type service. But once again, once you get used to it, it works fantastic.
All right. I have a little bit of a techie question. So I hope you guys ready? Because I don't do tech. Okay. It's probably very simple for you. But what is the brand and model of the router? And can they use their own? And are there any data caps? That was a lot, but
no. So no data caps. So that's the easy one. The name and brand of our router, it's a Zyxel router. So that's the one we utilize. But if you choose to use your own router, you can do so. So in doing so, we again bring the service to your home. It connects to the router, and then from there we actually allow it to pass through and then go to the router that the type of router you use.
okay. Let's see. What about this one? what if the zones quit activating? Will I still be able to get service eventually?
Yes, eventually we'll put them in order, then we'll start building out. Our plan is to build out to everywhere that there's a need and then continue on to every member.
Okay. Do you have an option for phone service?
We do. So with Central Access, again, it's fiber fed to your home. So it's actually called Voice over IP or VoIP service. So with that, you can get your phone service, and if you have an existing provider, we can actually port that number. That's what it's called. So it's transferring that number from your current provider to us, so your numbers are the same. Your phone will work at your house just as it does now. It's just coming over our fiber, our reliable fiber network.
That's great. Let's see. This one may be a little bit more technical too, or a timeline. How long after you splice the fiber does it take for my home to be connected?
So there's multiple splices. So it really depends on where you are in the process. So there's a mainline splice, then there's a distribution splice coming, and then from there, finally, it's the splice to the home. So really, it's just going to depend on where we are in the process. But as we're getting closer to your home, and especially as the fiber drop is being spliced, what we do there is we'll splice the fiber at the pole or on the ground, bring it to the home, make the connection at the home. We verify the signal strong as what it should be, and then from there we actually will call you and schedule your installation on your time frame.
Great.
And some of the things we do after splicing is test it, because we will make sure it is running well, test it before we start hooking folks up. So.
Got it. Let's see. There was a couple more. You guys are popular. I bet you guys get a lot of these questions all the time, don't you? I have underground power. Will the fiber be ran underground or will it go overhead?
Typically with that, we will follow the same route as power. So we'll call in a locate, someone will come out and bury the fiber and splice it up and follow the same process. It's just will be underground versus being aerial.
Okay. What about this one? I am in a zone requiring activation. What can I do to help get the word out to people to register?
And talk to your neighbors. You can see on the site how many more you need. So go talk to your neighbors and get them to sign up.
And then from there, of course, you can call in to our customer service. You can go by one of our offices, one of our 6 offices, ask for yard signs. They'll be glad to give you yard signs. And again, with customer service, we can see how many people you have signed up and how many more to go.
Okay. I did have a question about cost. What are the cost of our plans?
So for residential, 200 megabit is $59.99. Our 500 megabit is $79.99, and then 1 gig service is $99.99, and then our voice service is $19.99.
Okay, not bad. Let's see. Yeah, we're getting there. How are we on the timeline of this project? Where are we looking at on getting service out?
Well, we're on a good pace. We are, like we talked about the material issue, but we are moving along. We hope by the end of next year to have the most of it done, but it's going to depend on some of the issues we're running into. But that's kind of our goal, and it may run into 2023.
And then what we're seeing, though, by the end of 2022, we anticipate about 90% of our aerial customers. So if your power comes in an aerial route, we're anticipating about 90% of those having fiber access. From there, we'll have buried neighborhoods we'll have to continue to look at. But again, we're moving fast as fast as material will allow us to move.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 2021's already halfway over, right?
Absolutely.
So we're getting there. I think it's about, while we're getting about time for, do you guys have any closing things you would like to people know, or final thoughts of some of the questions you've seen?
One thing, this has been a fantastic process. It's exciting to see fiber connectivity to our members and potentially beyond our network. So we're excited to see what fiber access is going to do. We're excited with the comments that we're getting. There's people that live in town that don't have fiber speed and do not have speeds as fast as we provide. So we're excited about that. Again, by the end of this year, we're anticipating passing over 18,000 people, potentially providing service to. We're excited that we have nearly 5,000 people connected. So again, we are excited about the process and how far we're going to go with our broadband network.
Great. All right. Well, Well, thank you guys. I'm
Absolutely.
sure there's probably going to
Anytime.
be more questions that come in. So if you do have any questions, you can, of course, go to our Facebook page. And if you want to see where your address falls in the core ring, a grant area, activation zone, and there's some projected timelines on there too. It's centralaccess.coop. And we thank you for your time and hope you have a wonderful day. And stay tuned for the business meeting.